Hello and welcome to what was supposed to be the third of the trifecta, but is, now the second because we had some technical issues. Here we have Kirsten, who is also an author. And Kirsten, take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I write under KG Munro, but most people in my life call me Kirsten. So basically, I've been writing. Like I always say, I started at 19, and I did. But the first poem I ever wrote is when I was 4, and it was a silly poem. It was about sweets or something. It was like 4 lines, and I remember handing it to my dad, and I was so proud, and he started laughing. And I couldn't really understand why until I got older, and he was like, I used to do songwriting. That's why I was laughing. I was like, oh, she's following my footsteps. And so that was that aspect. And then when I was 10 years old, I wrote 3 novels. And basically, at school at the time, we had to do like a short story about something horror related. So I chose to do a story about a boy who ate too many burgers and then became like this homicidal burger monster person who killed his mom.
Oh,
Yeah. I was like, when I read back, like when I looked back on some of the things I wrote when I was 10, I'm like, girl.
right.
So basically, what happened was I wrote all 3 of those novels. And because I was 10 and I like to, play games on websites that were not fantastically secure, the computer got like a Trojan horse and I lost all my material. And I got so mad. I got so mad. I was like, I'm never writing again. And so basically, I stopped for a while. And then when I was a teenager, when I was in high school, I used to get bored in some of my classes and I would write poetry to pass the time. And then I stopped and I got to 19. I've been in school, I've been in college and stuff. And I'd done all these other professions. Like I'd done music for a while, I'd done a few other creative pursuits, and everything that I didn't last. So I always found myself going back to writing and going back to poetry. And it was just something that was always calling me back. So that's essentially how I got here today was at 19 I made the decision I want to do this for the rest of my life. And so yeah, now we're here. I've been doing poetry for 7 years. I just released my book in October. So yeah.
All right. There we go. All right. So, what do you like to do outside of writing? Like, what's a day in the life like for you?
Well, a day in the life for me is just I get up, do all the adult stuff you have to do, like chores and cleaning up and, making your breakfast and organizing your day, cleaning, which is tedious and never ending. um, and, work stuff. And then basically, when I have the time, doing writing and doing poetry and, doing stuff like that. And then keeping up with my family, doing walking. I really love to go walking, to be honest, because it really decompresses you after like a really stressful day, and it helps your mind open up a little more. So I love to do stuff like that. I have ballet, and I like to do that every week. So I have
Okay.
quite a few hobbies.
Oh, nice, nice. Awesome. I mean, I wish my days were as eventful, but it's just work and go home. At least for the last.
No, I'm sure your days are wonderful. It's every day is a blessing.
I mean, yeah, when you look at it like that, at least we're breathing, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, what inspired your like first work? Not the ones where you lost all your material, but like the one that you actually wrote and got out there, without the Trojan horse. So
Yeah, without the like deep psychological what the hell. um Basically what inspired my earliest works was I actually at the time had been going through quite a bit of just depression and sadness. And so my earlier works were really a reflection of deeper emotions that I had, things I'd gone through. High school was very difficult for me. Leaving high school was even more difficult because I was trying to then figure out who am I? Because I didn't know. I had to be this person for, because in Britain, high school is 6 years. It's like middle school and high school combined. So you have like 6 years.
Oh
And for
man.
those 6 years, I had to be this person that went to this place that I hated, to be around people who were horrible, frankly. And I had to figure out who I was outside of all that, outside of this identity that I had to use to kind of get through those 6 years. So my earliest pieces were inspired by going through that, surviving that, and then becoming an adult, becoming a person that is no longer holding on to the things that hurt me before. Like those were what my earlier pieces were inspired by. I'm by nature, and I started to have a really strong relationship with nature in the beginning. And so those are my kind of inspirations for my earlier works. It was really me processing all that stuff in that time, putting it out and expressing that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, man, 6 years of high school. Yeah, 4 is bad enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. We got 4 over here in America. 6 over there. It's like, oh my god.
I'm like, you should just make it middle school over here. Like 6 years of high school is so bad.
Oh my god. Like 6 years? Like what? You don't even
Yeah.
go to college for 6 years. Why?
I know I always thought it was daft myself. I'm like, bro, I don't want to be here. Basically, when you hit 16, you can leave. Like, so that would be like the fourth year of high school, you can leave. But
Yeah.
if you leave in fourth year without like the grades, you're not getting into university. So a lot of people stay for fifth and sixth year so they can get the grades they need to get into high school.
Ah.
Like, sorry, college.
I mean, hey, that's how bad it is. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing middle school, high school. Oh yeah, now I'm going to high school. Oh, wait. When did we switch from middle to high school? Oh, hold up.
No,
I've just
that's how
been
bad
here.
it is.
I've just been here, you know.
And then I left college because I thought, I'm not doing this again.
Oh yeah, another 6 years.
No.
No. Oh man, that's yeah, that's crazy work. That's a story in and of itself.
Yeah. Like,
So
I
yeah,
just, I blanked it. I blanked those 6 years. Like, for the first year after I left, I just blanked those 6 years. I was like, I don't want to think about it. Like, I burned my yearbook, I burned my uniform. I was done.
yeah, that sounds about right. It makes sense. Like just put it in the trash, light the lighter, and just like that's it.
It's like,
I'm done.
goodbye.
All right. It's like free at last. Free at last.
Exactly.
All right. So, how do you come up with characters for your stories? Like, are they spontaneous or are they meticulously planned?
Okay, so when it comes to characters for my stories, they are spontaneous because I have the belief that if you overdo a character, if you overemphasize all their qualities, then you kill their authenticity. You can tell when a character's, it sounds daft, but like a character is a character as opposed to like this person that you can believe exists. Like when I was writing Autumn and Tang, I wanted to make it believable, which means showing their flaws, which means physical and also personality flaws. And, their backgrounds aren't perfect. Because what I've noticed about a lot of characters being written, especially if you watch, things like Hallmark, books adapted into Hallmark movies, you can see that it's not super real. There is a superficiality to the characters. Like everybody's happy and everybody's nice and everybody like that's not realistic.
Hmm.
So I wanted characters that people could see themselves in, but also believe that these were real people, you know?
Right. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, even when you're writing fiction, there's got to be some aspects of reality in it in order to like relate to, because you're writing for a human audience. You're not writing for aliens, so
Exactly.
there's got to be some sort of a mirror to like, reflect what a population may believe or a general perception and something like that. And
Exactly.
that's kind of what makes it fun, writing fiction and stuff like that. You get
It
to play
does.
around with it, create, worlds and stuff like that. But you get to just put a little bit of that, rage and anger and frustration in there, like
Exactly. And, I like to, although it's fiction and it's telling a story, and I kind of have the philosophy of always having a happy ending, because I just don't like writing sad endings. Like, I always like there to be, it's bad and it's tough for a while, but then there's happiness that comes out of it. And with Autumn and Tan specifically, I wanted to create a story where it's like you've got these two people who are essentially have flaws. They're both, stubborn in their own ways. They're both like you wouldn't see them as a couple, yet by the end of it it does make sense because deep down inside they're both looking for something that the other has, intrinsically. And
mm,
so I like to create characters that just feel real. I don't like, from my own personal experience, I don't like seeing characters where I just know there's no substance in them, So I like to create things that are genuine. And when it comes to fiction, I do like to cover real life topics in there. Like in the book, there's real life issues that do affect actual idols in the book, like stalking. That unfortunately, idols in South Korea do get harassed, they do get stalked, they do get followed, they have cameras put in their dorms by these stalkers, you know, and just even in general, like there was this issue for a long time. I don't know if they've resolved it yet, to be honest, where there was actually hidden cameras in public bathrooms, specifically women's public bathrooms. And so I wanted to cover that, but do it in a way that made sense to the story so that this is an issue, but putting it in subtly so that it doesn't cloud the plot. It's just these are the issues that are happening in South Korea that I think are worth mentioning, you know?
oh, yeah, that's a bit that is creepy and egregious to
Yeah,
put cameras in women's public bathroom. Like, come on,
yeah,
man. Like,
you know, it's
come
just,
on. I don't even think that would happen in America.
it
And a
would.
lot of crazy stuff happens here. So, but
It's the same in the UK. Like, I don't even think, I think the police would actually do their job here if that happened, like, it's it's wild. It shouldn't happen anywhere. Like you should be able to essentially do what you want and be safe.
yeah.
But it's what I've found, especially I don't know about where you live, but I found that crime has definitely gotten worse over the years, you
Mm.
know? Like it really has.
Oh man, that's a whole other can of worms in and of itself.
I know.
If
Like
you
let's go to Mars.
just crime in general is like, oh my god.
Oh, I know.
So, what's the most difficult thing about being a writer, in your opinion?
I think in my opinion, I mean, there's a lot of difficulties with being a writer. But I definitely think just the main one in itself is the amount that you have to go through just to get to the same place, right? So you could be really talented, you could work hard for years, but then there could be somebody else who propositions the same agent who has connections with either them or the company, so they get it and you don't. I
Mm,
think that's the hardest thing because as an author, you're having to swallow that sense of unfairness that somebody else got a position that essentially you should have gotten because they had an advantage that you didn't. And so that happens a lot in our industry and it really does frustrate me and I find it the most difficult thing because I've pitched agents before and I've went through the process and I've basically done everything that they asked only to find out later that they picked such a body because they either went to the same school or they knew somebody else or it was it was something that they felt would fit the modern time a bit more.
mm,
And so stuff like that, I think that's the most difficult thing I've found as an author is you have to do a lot of tongue biting. You have to do a lot of almost kind of suppression, because on one hand, if you are like, well, this isn't fair and I don't agree with this and I think you're wrong, if you do that too much, then you get kind of pushed aside. But then if you bite your tongue too much as well, then you start to get angry to the point where it starts to affect your process. So I think the most difficult thing is the kind of the way it is now. It's way more difficult to be published now than it
Mm,
used to be back in the 90s, you know?
right. Really? I mean,
Yeah.
in the UK? Oh wow, that's very interesting.
Well, it
Because
is. And go
in
on.
I don't know, I would say over here, like in America, it's actually easier to get published now than it was back in the day. It's kind of like the inverse. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're talking about like, just getting published, oh yes, you can self-publish easy, right?
Yeah,
But
like
if you're
that's
talking about
easy.
like, the notoriety and getting your work out there to a sizable market, that's still just as hard as it was back then.
Yeah. I think like what I mean is traditional publishing. Like you can't just go to one of the big five and say, here's my manuscript. You have to like get an agent, and you have to try and get an agent who is at least agreeable. And then you have to try and deal with like them trying to change every nuance of your story because your story wasn't this enough. I mean, I had one agent in particular who was like, why are there so many Koreans in this story? And I sat there and I was seething. She was like, it's not diverse enough. I'm like, they're in South Korea. Do you, like, come on, And so it's things like that I just don't like. I'm like, to me, it should be a case of you're an author, you have a manuscript, you can go to Penguin, HarperCollins,
Hmm.
any of them, and say, look, read a couple of pages. If you don't like it, I won't bother you. If you do like it, give me a call. To me, that's how easy it should be. But when
Yeah.
it comes to self publishing, when it comes to getting recognition on social media, I think those are a lot easier now. I think marketing is still really difficult, like you said. Like marketing a book is really frustrating. But when it comes to actually publishing itself, if you're doing it yourself, it's easier. But if you're trying to get the traditional book deal, then that is a minefield of itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. That's why I chose the self-publishing path. I don't know, because I guess I have more of an entrepreneurial spirit. Like I'm not
Mm.
gonna sit around and wait for somebody to accept my work. And it's just like I don't care what people think attitude. I'm gonna put it out anyway, and I'm just gonna do what I can to yeah, I don't know. Like that's just like kind of my kind of attitude toward it. Because querying agents and just I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna wait for people to accept me. I'm gonna put myself out there. Like I'm just gonna kick in the door and I'm here, bitches. Like that's how I do
Exactly.
it.
Like that's the best mentality to have, because I've seen so many authors that they get rejected by the agents they kind of idolized and stuff, and it just breaks them. And I'm like, nothing is worth being broken over, you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Nothing.
Oh yeah. Definitely, definitely. So, all right. So that question won't apply. So, what's one thing about writing in and of itself that drives you up the walls? Like every time you hit this point in the writing process, you're just like, ugh, why? You know?
I think when my brain turns off, like I get to a certain point where I'm writing where my brain will turn off. It'd be like, oh, look, there's a butterfly outside. Oh, look, we're hungry. Oh,
Oh yeah.
like my brain turns off after a certain point and I just can't like think straight. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is really frustrating, especially when I've wrote all these pages and I'm almost done a chapter and my brain decides it's done. That's frustrating because I found two ways that I try to get by it, and the other way is always better. The first way is trying to drink more coffee and plow through it, which never works because I get more irritated. I get more kind of not focused, and it just what I write ends up being crap. The second way, which I found is better, is I walk away from it, I eat, I drink, I do all that, meditate, take a walk, talk to a friend, and then I'll come back to it later. Except when I'm doing it again later, I'll do it for half an hour rather than 4 or 5 hours that I was doing it for. And I found that's better to kind of just stop when your brain is telling you to stop. But it does drive me up the wall because if I'm making a lot of progress, when my brain decides to turn off, it can be really frustrating.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's like you were almost done. You had one more page, and then it's like clunk. And
It's
then
like,
you could
I
just
know.
that little voice in your heart is like, "Fuck, just
Exactly.
one more page." You couldn't stay for just one more page. You had to just
Like,
fall out of my head, didn't you?
you just had to leave, man. You just had to do it. You had to let the team down.
Right? Just like oh boy. To drink more coffee. Like
Never works.
in my case, it would be drink more alcohol. But you know,
Oh no. See, I've been drunk once before
yeah.
and I ended up in a tree. So I decided alcohol is not for me.
Well, the first question would be, what were you drinking?
I was just drinking vodka.
That must have came straight from Russia. Like,
I know. The fact that my friends let me climb in a tree and do that, I'm like, what? They're like, it's funny.
hey, like, it's like, are you really my friends? Like, you would let me do this? You gonna let me embarrass myself like this? Like, just
I know.
climb on a branch and just fall asleep? Like, what if I fell over and then just like, ah, like,
What's worse is the neighbors saw. Like one of my neighbors was like, "Are you okay?"
oh man,
Oh, and it was like a neighbor I'd known for years. It's like, "What are you doing in the tree?"
oh my god.
Oh.
Nah,
But
I mean,
so I don't touch alcohol after that. I just realized I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking trying to climb a tree. But I don't want to see the next thing I try and climb.
oh man, nah. that is that's a story right there. I mean, oh yeah, I got drunk once. Ended up in a tree. Like, wait, whoa, hold on, wait. We're not just gonna go by that. Like, wait, how where were you? Like, who were you with? Like, like that's what people ask for, like a
Well,
full detail.
exactly. I mean, my friends were like, they were like, "You're insistent on climbing this tree." And so we were just like, "Okay, well, it's not deadly high. So if she falls, she'll only break an arm." I'm like, that. Oh, the logic of 18-year-olds, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she'll only break an arm. She'll be all right.
It'll heal.
Yeah, you could go 6 weeks without writing, right? Like,
Yeah,
really, just
you
writing on
can.
one hand, just like.
I know, and I'm left-handed, so if I broke my left arm, I'm screwed.
Oh my god. And it would always be the arm that you write with. It would always be the more important arm that goes.
It would be, and not just that, but what made me laugh about the whole thing was the fact that like they couldn't get to the bottom of why I wanted to climb the tree so badly.
Wow.
And they were like, we'd ask you, and all you'd say is, "I just want to climb the tree. I can climb. I can do what I want." And like, and so it was just really funny. And before that, I was really hyperactive, and I was just giggling and being daft. It was kind of like being four, I think,
Right.
and that's how I was acting. So I was like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna stick to coffee. I mean, I'll take not sleeping over acting crazy."
Yeah. All right. So, what does being a successful writer look like for you? Like, what type of life do you want to live as a writer?
I mean, I think it'd be nice not to have to work a 9 to 5 job. that would be nice to be able to be an author and just live being an author and be able to live like my idea of what a nice life is as a writer. Like to me, that would be living in a log cabin on a bit of land, do my stories, make a positive impact in the world, use my gift appropriately, and help inspire people and help the next generation of writers coming through. Raise my own children when I have them and get married, and have my life where I'm doing writing and I'm being this author and I'm hopefully inspiring people. But then coming back home, being a wife, being a mother, being just like a regular citizen, who complains about the weather and taxes always, and writing my stories and then releasing them and having a life that is balanced,
Right.
because I think I see some of my author peers and I'm like, your life, it's nice, you've got all the accolades, but you're not happy, you know?
Right.
And so to me, it's having a balance of that, being able to use my gift appropriately, but also have a normal life, like still have, the normal things and not like be egoic and be like, oh, I'm this wonderful, you know what I mean? So yeah, that to me is the dream, to have a life that is balanced, while still living my dream.
Okay. I think being a writer is kind of the way to do it because you can sit down and do your job, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, the music industry, you have to tour, and the whole vibe is a lot different. Like the vibe is very kind of, you're put in a pedestal. People think you're like God or something, and so you don't get a minute of peace when you go outside. You don't get like a minute of peace with your family or with your friends. So I think as writers, we're lucky we don't have that type of idolization. People are like, "Oh, you're a writer? Awesome. You inspire me to write and read stuff." And you're only really a big deal to the people that read and are into that kind of stuff. It's not like you're on the news every 5 minutes, like this person did this, that kind of thing.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So that's pretty much all I have. So we're going to take these last few moments for you to kind of promote yourself. And if you have a physical copy of your book, you can show it on the screen and stuff like that. And, just tell people where they can find you on social media and, how they can keep up with you and your latest developments and things of that nature. And perhaps maybe you can tell them the next time you decide to climb a tree. But.
I know, and there's no doubt in the future that someone's going to be like, so we want more details on that tree story.
Yeah.
And so basically, the book is available worldwide. So it's available at Amazon, Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, Booked and Hooked, quite a few independent bookstores as well. Happily Ever After bookstore. They're based in Liverpool. And so, yeah, you can basically get it from anywhere. You can also, one thing that people can do is you can actually go into places like Walmart and places like your local library and request the book, and they will order it. If they get like at least 2 or 3 requests, they'll order it. So you can do that. It helps authors a lot. As far as social media goes, I'm on Threads and Instagram and Medium, so I post work on Medium. I post my opinions on Thread, which, depending on the day, could either be good or bad. And Instagram, where I basically keep my Instagram for book strictly related content, or selfies, basically.
Mm.
So that's what I do. I wouldn't touch Twitter with a barge pole,
Okay.
you know. So yeah, so that's the kind of social media I'm on. And as far as the book itself, I have quite a few more interviews coming out about it. So that's cool. And I'll be able to
Hey.
talk about those. But the book itself, like I said before, it's available at most retailers. So you can just go in and find it essentially.
Yeah, all right. Got you. Got you. Quiet flex. I feel it. Oh yeah,
But
we have no, just
yeah,
yeah.
just trying to be low key and I know it's like I'm low key, but I'm, best selling author, but I'm low key. It's okay. Well, I wish I could wait to be a best selling author. Not
Oh
even
man,
for the title, but just to be like, so many people have read this and hopefully taken something positive from it.
you're right. Oh no, I mean I'll be out of control. Don't let me wake up and see my book sold 1 million copies. I'm like, hey, love, where you want to go for vacation again? Yeah. Pack your bags right now. We're taking a flight.
No, exactly. It's like, I'm moving to Europe.
You just wake up and see your bank account's like,
Oh my God. You know what? Knowing my bank, they'd be like, "Hi, Miss Monroe. Is there fraud going on?" I'm
right.
like, y'all, it literally, people bought the book, man. I've been telling y'all this for months. Like, I remember one of them was like, "Oh, I wish you were putting 300 into your bank account." And I'm like, "Girl, I wish I was putting it into."
Oh man. But anyway, I'd like to thank you for, coming down and interviewing with a humble online publishing company. And if you need anything from me, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be happy to help you and assist you in any way on your writing journey and, getting your work out there in front of more people. And you know, uh yeah, and to the would-be crowd and the people that came in, we love you, and we'll see you on the flip side. All right, there you go. And follow Kirsten, aka KG Munro, excuse me. And
MGM.
yeah, right.
Oh no. Well, thank you so much, Joshua. It is an absolute pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure talking to you. If you need anything from me, you know where to reach me.
All right.
And because at the end of the day, being writers is a collaborative effort. We're all in this. Like, a victory for one of us is a victory for all of us. And so, yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I really love this interview.
All right.
I really enjoyed it. Like, a couple of interviews I had were kind of not so fantastic because the interviewer didn't do any research before interviewing me, and beyond all of that, just some of the questions they asked made me hella nervous. I remember I had one that was like, "So, are you a virgin?" I'm like, "What kind of interview is that?"
Well,
Like, I hung up so fast.
no, yeah, that's insane. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, we live in an era where social media has made people less social, ironically speaking. So, you'll get a couple awkward ones.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like, I think you're too comfortable.
Right, right.
But yeah, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And it's been wonderful talking to you. And
Oh,
good luck with your other interviews as well.
all right.
Right. And thank you to the people that watched, and hopefully